Okay, gonna go ahead and start here. Um, Hi, I'm FunkMD and AD Carry. We are going to be watching Stargazer on patch 8.2, play Yorick. It looks like he's into a Dr. Mundo. He has a Master Yi jungle, a Syndramid, a Varus AD Carry, and a Xerath support. So he should be fine. To start with, 35 seconds in, you're in a terrible spot. Uh, Usually, Um, there's one thing that Lee Sin players are usually good at, and that's walking into the enemy jungle and taking your jungler's shit. Um, so the biggest thing to start with is you're not watching the blue buff, and that's your job as the blue side of the map top laner. Your job is to make sure they don't come do this. Syndra should also not be here, but we'll ignore that because we can only focus on what you're doing because once again, this is a solo queue game. So to start with, you should be standing right here. Can I ping it? I cannot ping it. Sucks. Maybe I can? No. But here is where you want to stand. You don't want to be way up here in the lane because if Mundo goes to lane, who cares? He's not going to do anything. Um, and you're not going to kill a Mundo at level 1 with Yorick. You took Q. You're not going to catch him. He's just going to flash if he has to. So this isn't going to do anything. You're not like Darius or like Jace or something, and he's not like Quinn. So start with you should be here or in this bush, just as a way to keep Lee Sin from taking in and just taking this, because right now we have no idea if they're in our jungle taking all our shit. So that's not good. Minion spawn. Speed it up a little bit. Speed it up a little bit more. Da dee da dee da dee da. Okay. Slow down. Alright. You're laning, and you immediately start shoving the wave super hard. Which is usually not a good idea. You want to figure out where the top laner is. Because he took so long to get here, we can presume that their jungler, because their bot lane is down here, their jungler probably started red buff. So the first thing you need to do is if your other laner doesn't show up, just check to see where their bot lane is. If their bot lane is there before your bot lane is, their jungler definitely started red side. And if we take a look, yes he did. Which is bad because you're about to get ganked probably, because that means Lee Sin started red buff, he is a slow, and he's going to kill you. And if he doesn't come gank you, you have the added detriment of you were attacking the minions and shoving the wave, which means that Mundo can freeze the lane on you now, because it'll be consistently shoving into him, and you can't try to reset it because there's the chance that Lee Sin can come kill you, because you'll be the first gank. So Mundo immediately starts matching what you do, but he makes sure that you kill a minion and he waits until afterwards to kill the next minion. So you have a word, you haven't used it, and this is a common time for Lee Sin to kill people if he started top half. So this is bad because number one, you need a word in here because Mundo showed up late, which means he was leashing red. So it's very, very dangerous for you to be shoving the lane like this. It's 4 minions to 1. It's pushing into him. He can freeze it here now, which means he's going to have lane priority, and we can presume that Lee Sin started topside. We know for certain, but just from where their bot lane was and where your top laner was at the start of the game, that means Lee Sin was at red. So you start trading into him, which is good. You get a good Q off, and you did it when he only had 1 minion, which is the goal. You only want to attack when you have the minion advantage and he can't really do anything about it. That was a dangerous one, and you took a bunch of damage right there. Like a bunch of damage. You're down 240 health-ish, and the biggest thing was these 3 caster minions started wailing on you super hard. And at level 1, they're the equivalent of a Mundo auto-attacking you. That's a lot of damage, because if he just starts hitting you, then you're going to be like, what the fuck, champion's hitting me? But that's what's happening right there. You get the level advantage, and you don't do anything with it. You want to be trying to play around your level 2. Okay, at this point, Yi goes to his blue buff. Lee Sin's taking it. Um, and I assume Lee Sin kills his ass because he has blue and red. And Lee Sin only has red. And Lee Sin has a better level 2. Yep, there's first blood. So now it's pushing into him. Your jungler's dead, you'll get no help. And their jungler just killed your jungler at your blue. That you should have warded to begin with, but now you're in trouble because now you're definitely going to get ganked. And if he doesn't, I'll be really disappointed in them. Alright, because Syndra's shoved in, so there's no pressure coming from that. That was good. You got out of the turret range in time. Alright. Now, you got lucky here. You haven't died to a Lee Sin gank yet. And that's not because you've played it well. That's not because you played it poorly. That's because Lee Sin just changed his mind about coming to kill you. Literally the only thing that stopped you from looking like an idiot right here was this guy's mood. So, keep in mind, if a jungler doesn't gank you when you're pushing like this, it's because the jungler doesn't feel like it. It's not because you're doing something right. Right. You took Demolish, obviously, because otherwise this wouldn't be happening. Good job. Just back off. And you still don't know where Lee Sin is, but you finally put a ward down. Now this ward is good, but Lee Sin wasn't around and Mundo had to back. Because Mundo had to back, the better ward is dropping it in try, because Lee Sin's usually like coming through this gap right here and ward hopping the wall or waiting for you to push super hard and then queuing at you or coming around this way after they sit in this bush for a little bit. So this tri-brush ward is a lot more important than this river bush ward. This river bush ward is also bad because you put it at the closest point to the lane. You don't want to put it here. You want to either put it at the very, very edge where you can see further down the river, or Lee Sin's also like to do an invade around the corner here and take this blast cone, and this blast cone is super dangerous. So if you have the option, you want to drop your ward a little bit further down river or in this tri-brush. You don't want to have the chance that Lee Sin is standing right here and he's just going to walk straight down and you won't be able to react in time. So if you're going to put a ward down in this bush, keep it as far up the river as you possibly can. We see Lee Sin, so we know he's down there. And Master Yi shouldn't be coming to help you, which means you're safe to push this. Now Mundo just warded, and he warded further down than you did. You toss a good ghoul thing. One thing I won't be able to help you much out on is individual mechanics and chances for Yorick outplays. I'm not really familiar with Yorick's ability to outplay a Mundo. I don't play this matchup very often. I also don't play top lane very often. So, when it comes to just basic champion mechanics, can't help you much here. But for basic laning, basic gank patterns, basic jungle stuff, you know, I can help you with that. So you're shoving up. You have the advantage because you have the cannon. It's okay to draw aggro if you have a canyon wave and he doesn't. Because if he comes in and tries to hit you with anything, your minions will do twice as much damage as his minions will. And that's fine. Toss your thing up on him. Okay, you have a word again, and once again, you put it in a bad spot. You got it a little bit further down because you can see the corner here, but it's not far enough. You also had the wave pushing into his tower, so you could just drop it and try. But to be fair, you didn't know where Lee Sin was, so it's dangerous to walk towards a dark area of the map if you don't know where the jungler is. Alright, after this wave, which you're hard shoving, you're going to want to try to back. Because at this point you should have, yeah, you have 970 gold. You can just go get like work towards a sheen or get some sort of maybe an executioner's. See, now you're gonna die. You didn't react at all to this. You literally saw him walking straight down this river, and you were focused on your CS, and figuring out where Mundo was instead of paying attention to the fact that he's coming to kill you. The 2-0 Lee Sin. So you're going to have to flash this. There's no other way out. And I'm sure he's going to E-slow you first. He doesn't. Why didn't he E-slow you? That would have let him get a lot more pressure out. Whatever. He drops his pink ward in a good spot. Kills it. He has zombie ward, which you will find out later. But you should just kill his cannon and then just back off. Leave the wave like this. The reason you want to leave the wave like this is because he's going to try to back. You can go ahead and try and back, and you don't need to shove this wave because you know Lee Sin is here. He was just there. So there's no good way to push out when the enemy jungler's on your side of the map. That's bad. You don't want to be pushing out too hard. Now Lee Sin is coming to gank this Syndra, who has absurdly low health and should have backed. And that's fine, but you can't really do anything now. Because if you TP, she's already definitely dead. There's no way she's not going to die. Because she's just going to Lux ult the second that comes up. Okay, now you're hard pushing this top lane instead of coming to help this situation. If you just man mode it and come up with an extra person, there's a way for you guys to turn this. Not a good way, but there is one. They also have a level advantage on your jungler, but this right here is super dangerous because we don't know where Mundo is. His teleport's down though, so we got that going for us. Right. So luckily, Syndra doesn't die, but she should. Oh, there she does. I was like, yeah. Okay, Lux finally hit her level 6 on one minion that when she got close to lane, she ulted, which was good. So this is super dangerous. You also should stop pushing now. This is like, you should not be pushing still. This is also a bad idea. Just stop. Just stop. Just leave. Just leave. Don't go kill this ward. This is a terrible idea. See, there's Lee Sin. Surprise! And here comes the Mundo permaslow with, axes. Leaving. And now he's going to be able to stop your back. And Lee Sin's invading again. You have no mana. You have a teleport. You can just back and TP. You have that ability. Just drop your ward passive. And now you're going to die. You deserve to die for this. Good. You held on to your flash. So you got that going for you. So, bad start. You're up 9 CS, but it doesn't matter. Because Mundo got an assist. And that's roughly 50 gold-ish. So, that makes up for the, 3 or 4 CS. And you guys are basically even. He's going to be able to shove this too. He can just turn on his thingamabob that just hits a bunch of shit. And he'll be able to shove the wave effectively. He's rushing a cape, which is weird. One of the things you're going to have to work on is recognizing item builds from enemies. If you're going to go this hard, just chase him. If you're going to pop your maiden like that, just chase after him. Don't, just hang out. Like, you force his flash, you flash, you don't have your E. Okay, I'm not a Yorick main or anything, and I definitely don't play Yorick, but I can tell you this much. Always, if you're going to pop your maiden, it's because you're trying to kill them, or you're trying to take the tower. You can't shove a Mundo out like that. He has healing from, every single thing he has. This one increases his magic resist. This one does magic damage. This one, magic damage. And he generates 0.3% of his max health every second. And his ulti, he used it, but he gets a crap ton of healing from that. You're not going to be able to get this tower. We still don't know where Lee Sin is. We haven't seen him in a minute. You deserve to get punished for this. You're lucky you're not getting punished for this. Because you should be. Like, you should have gotten ganked like 2 or 3 times. You should have died 2 or 3 times. The only reason you're not is because their jungler doesn't feel like it. That's literally the only reason. Their jungler doesn't feel like camping the shit out of you and killing the crap out of you. And against better players, you will get punished for this. Super lucky you haven't gotten the tar kicked out of you yet. It's a weird wall, waste of mana. You're an aggressive, annoying laner, which is good. That's what Yorick does. But it's almost impossible to poke Mundo out. You only want to wail on him when he gets super close. Otherwise, there's not much of a point. Alright, you gonna put your pink ward in? No? Maybe? Possibly? Who knows? Use your Q as an auto reset? Okay. One of the things you can do is if you're attacking a ward, there's some moves reset animations. Examples are if you are playing Leona, you can auto something, and then if you hit your Q, it does damage to the ward, and then she can attack really fast again. So if somebody just drops a yellow trinket ward, Leona can kill it in what looks like 2 hits, because it resets the animation for her auto attack, which means she can get the extra attack out faster. Other examples include, but are not limited to, Vayne. If she tumbles into a wall, it cancels the tumble animation, or it makes it end more quickly, and she can get the extra auto attack out faster. Another example includes Lee Sin. He has a couple. Riven has a bunch with their Qs and such. It's also just generic auto attacking things. And I will link you a video on that later. And we'll just kind of keep going. So far, you should have died a bunch of times already. You should have been ganked a bunch of times already. And for the most part, you're hard shoving the wave almost on autopilot. You're not really doing it on purpose or with intention. It's mostly on accident if you do shove the wave. You don't have like a plan to go along with it. Now this is good because the wave's shoving into you now. Ooh, missed it. Bummer. Missed it again. For the most part, other than those 3 in a row, your CS is okay. I mean, it's not bad. No, it is bad, but you know, it could be worse. You're doing fine. So it's good that you're working on this, but you're gonna need to up your CS by about 10, especially if you're in a matchup like this where the other guy just kind of sits there and takes it because he can't do anything about you for like 20 minutes, or until he finishes an item, unless his jungle comes and saves his ass. See, this right here, this is when you needed to have all this mana. Now you should get the tower here. Yeah, because Demolish proc. And you should die for that, but you don't. You're completely out of mana. And you're low on health. Just leave. You don't have to keep doing this. You also have had this pink ward just sitting in your bank for 1,000 years. Or like 4 minutes. Whatever. Same thing. It's okay to leave. It's okay. Alright, just leave. Just save your trinket word because you'll get a second one. No point. And you should probably swap to blue trinket, or you can hold on to the yellow one for a little bit longer. And what you buying? 2 pieces of Trinity Force. Okay. You could buy boots. They do have 3 sources of magic damage and 2 sources of armor. 8 attack damage. So, item-wise, Mundo does magic damage. He's a magic damage dealer. He doesn't have it like any AD, really. Lux does magic damage, and Karma does magic damage. So when you're dealing with 3 sources of magic damage on a team, along with a lot of CC, Lux, and Karma is a tether. Vayne is a condemn stun. Lee Sin is a knockback. Tenacity will help you. Tenacity is a thing that reduces crowd control effects. It comes on the magic resist boots, Merc Treads, and that's something you're going to want to buy in this matchup, is your Merc Treads. Offensive boots don't really do anything, and this Stinger is nice, but you don't need it. It's better to just finish your boots and then look for Trinity Force afterwards. This is a good push. You're pushing really hard, and you know their jungler can't come save this. After this, you should just leave. Just leave. You can TP top. You can save this tower. Ignore these guys. Who gives a shit? They're dead anyway. Just TP, save this tower, stop Mundo from getting something for free. Because Lux will make it back here, and she can clear this wave just fine. You might be able to get decent damage on it. But if you end up trading towers, that's horrible for you. That's absolutely atrocious. Your TP is super late. You missed a bunch of farm and XP that you didn't have to miss. I assume they win here because they deserve to. They're playing much, much better. Syndra's coming up. This is fine. You don't have to ping her not to. Like, I don't know if that was you or not. I just heard the ping sound and assumed. Alright. You don't get your wall. If you miss your wall or Syndra doesn't hit her stun, just back out. It's really hard to kill a Mundo without an Executioner's Calling. Or some sort of anti, like Ignite, any sort of anti-healing item or ability. Varus E, for example, is a good example of one. Syndra didn't take Ignite, you didn't take Ignite, you teleport because you're smart. But against a Mundo, you do need an anti-healing item, because he will out-heal you. Alright, they get this tower. So far, that's basically the entire game. And it's the story of the game so far, is you haven't been warding, you haven't been controlling your minions effectively, and you haven't been trading when you have minion advantage and they don't have minion advantage. Minion advantage is, for example, this. If you try to fight Mundo in this wave, he will just kill you. If Mundo tries to fight you in your wave, then you win. So that's the whole idea behind minion advantages. You have more than they do. Woo! It's really not that complicated. Most of the stuff in this it's super simple. Like, you're like, oh wow, I totally knew that. But it doesn't like occur to you in the actual game, and that's the biggest problem with low elos. They just start doing stuff and they forget. That's fine. People forget all the time. But your goal is to remember as much as you can in the game. So eventually it'll just come naturally to you. Like, oh, their top laner isn't here yet, and their bot lane already showed up. He's probably leeching topside, and that comes from experience. Okay, you see Mundo and Lux. You see Vayne. You know Karma's down here because she was down here a second ago. So you know it's safe to keep pushing this. And your Maiden is up. So now you can push this tower. This is okay. This is good. Your job as Yorick is be annoying. Be this guy. That when you're giving up shit down here, when you're giving up shit here, this is good because you're getting work done. Now your goal is just E this and then leave. You don't have to kill it, just leave. Just leave. See, now you're gonna die because Mundo and Lux are missing from mid. They got this tower, so you traded towers. They're pushing bot, which means they're coming after you. They're definitely coming after you. See, not a good idea. And here they are, boy. And she gets the condemn on you. Vayne is an ability where if you get too close to a wall, she'll knock you back into it and stun you when you hit the wall. Poppy also has an ability like that, but she has to dash to make it happen. Vayne does not. So if you go up against any champion that has any sort of wall ability, like for example Bard's thing, the support guy, when he shoots his yellow beam out thing, if it hits you and anything else, be it a wall or a minion or another champion, it stuns you. So you have to be very careful around walls in general, but you also have to be extremely careful when there's a Vayne on the other team. Just in general, pathing in between right here, this usually leads to death because it makes it super easy to hit a skill shot over here as opposed to where you have more room to go sideways. When you're dodging skill shots, going sideways is the only way to do it because if you run in a straight line, they're going to hit it because that's where they're aiming. So usually they'll try to, one of two things is going to happen. They're going to try to hit the skill shot by aiming it right where you are, or they're going to aim it by where you're going to be. And there's a big gap in how people generally try to do it. But a good rule of thumb is until people start trying to juke it, and you notice that more often in your solo queue games, just aim it where they're at. They'll keep running a straight line usually. And you'll find out later. This is bad. This is bad. You're over chasing now. You're not going to kill Mundo anymore because you don't have an Executioner's Calling, which is that item that builds out a longsword and reduces healing effects when you hit a target by 40%, which is what you need to be able to kill him. And now you die. This game is already over. You've already lost. They have Vayne, who outscales your Varus. Varus will still do damage, but Vayne will do more. Karma has more shielding and does more than a Xerath will. Xerath has a stun. That's pretty much it. I mean, he has a slow, and he does some damage, but Karma also does damage. She's not a wimp. Like, Karma does, like, actual legit damage. And at the same time, her shielding scales super great in the late game. So she has damage early, and she stops this guy from poking late. So he's completely useless. Syndra also does a lot of damage in the mid game, which is right now, but Lux does too, and she does more late. So that's bad. That's extra bad for you. At the same time, Lee Sin falls off, but he just gets tanky. Yi does more damage, but he doesn't tank at all. And if we have to take a chance between Master Yi carrying the game or Vayne carrying the game, my money's on Vayne almost every time. Especially a Yi that's 0-6 and got invaded a crap ton because they had a Lee Sin. You also don't scale super great. You're not a super late game champion. And Mundo just gets tanky. He becomes unkillable. And that's a big problem. This is also when Mundo starts hitting his big power spikes. He has 1.5 items, almost 2. Tanks usually spike the hardest between 2 and 4 items. Usually they're mid-game level 9 to 15 focus champions. Their whole idea is in the mid-game nobody has any sort of penetration items yet. Just take a look at Varus. He has Rage Blade. That's it. How's he going to get through this armor? How's he going to get through this huge amount of health? He's not. He doesn't have it in him. He can't do that. So unless he gets the Last Whisper, which he's not going to be able to afford yet, he can't do anything about it. And that's the biggest problem here. So this game's over. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording because to go further is a waste of time. I mean, you might be able to make something happen and you might win this game, but at this point I don't care if you win or not because you already lost. Like, in my head, you've already lost. So we'll focus on, in the next video, the second game, and we'll do a wrap-up video. So